Chosen ones, I am speaking directly to you now, not to everyone, not to the curious, not to those who clicked out of boredom or habit. This is for the chosen one whose spirit recognized these words before the mind tried to analyze them. This is not a random video. This is not background noise. This is a message from God, delivered to you in perfect divine alignment, not early, not late, exactly on time. If you are here, you were called, and if you feel something stirring in your chest right now, that is not emotion. That is spiritual awakening, activating in real time. I need you to understand this clearly from the very beginning, because doubt has tried to confuse you for a long time. You are not imagining this. You are not making it up. You are not reaching for meaning where none exists. The pull you felt, the pause you took, the stillness that came over you when you saw this message, that was intentional. That was your spirit responding to a divine calling that has always been on your life. Long before you had language for it, long before you had courage to accept it, long before you were ready to carry it. This is a message from God, and it comes with confirmation, not confusion. It comes with peace, not pressure. It comes with clarity, not chaos. You have spent seasons questioning yourself, wondering why your path felt heavier than others, why your growth required isolation, why your heart carried depth that made shallow spaces uncomfortable. The truth is simple. Even if it was painful to live through, you were being prepared. The waiting period was never denial. It was alignment. It was refinement. It was protection. Chosen one, your spiritual awakening did not begin when things fell apart. It began when your soul outgrew the old version of you. The discomfort was not punishment. It was expansion. The resistance was not failure. It was evidence of movement. And the silence you endured was not abandonment. It was God removing distractions so you could finally hear what has always been true about you. Here is what you may not have realized yet, but your spirit already knows it. Your spiritual bank account has been released, not will be released, not someday. It has already been authorized. Heaven does not move with delay the way the human mind understands delay. What happens in the spiritual realm always precedes what appears in the physical. That is why you feel different before you see different. That is why your inner world shifted before your outer circumstances caught up. That is why peace arrived before proof. This is divine release. This is kingdom provision activating in your life according to readiness, not urgency. And this is a confirmed season shift. The old cycles are closing. The lessons have been learned. The survival mode is ending. You are stepping out of endurance and into embodiment. You are no longer trying to become who you are. You are beginning to stand as who you already are. If you feel aligned with this truth, I want you to comment 777 right now, not out of hype, not for numbers, but as a conscious agreement between you and God that you are ready to receive what has already been prepared for you. Chosen one, your divine calling was never fragile. It did not disappear when you doubted yourself. It did not expire when you felt tired. It did not shrink when others failed to see you. It waited patiently for you to mature into it. And now something has shifted. You can feel it. The striving has quieted. The fear has loosened its grip. The need to prove yourself is dissolving. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation. The war you sensed was real. The resistance you felt was not imagined. When light is assigned to bring clarity, darkness reacts. When truth is destined to surface, deception grows loud. Your sensitivity, your empathy, your depth, these were not weaknesses. They were indicators of assignment. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to illuminate. And light is never casual. Light is necessary. This message from God is not here to rush you. It is here to ground you. It is here to remind you that you are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are exactly where divine timing requires you to be for what is unfolding next. The reason this message feels calm instead of frantic is because your spirit already recognizes it as truth. You are entering a season where things will make sense without explanation, where doors open without force, where provision flows without panic, where alignment replaces effort. This does not mean life becomes effortless. It means it becomes purposeful. You will move with clarity instead of confusion, with confidence instead of comparison, with faith instead of fear. Circle back to the beginning of this moment. You did not stumble here. You were led. You were called. You were chosen. This is not ego. This is responsibility. The world does not need more noise. It needs grounded light. It needs embodied truth. It needs people who have walked through the fire and came out with wisdom instead of bitterness. That is why your journey looked the way it did. If this touched your soul, if something inside you is nodding quietly instead of shouting loudly, comment 111. Because you know it now, you always did. You were called. The chosen one was never delayed, only positioned. Chosen one, circle back to the beginning of this truth and hear it again with clarity and authority. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you lived through. You are not exaggerating the weight you carried. You are not misremembering the silence, the delays, the isolation, or the resistance. Nothing about your journey was accidental. Nothing about your waiting season was wasted. You were never delayed. You were positioned. There were moments when it felt like life paused while everyone else moved forward. Times when opportunities seemed to pass you by. Seasons when it appeared that your effort produced less visible reward than others received with ease. That experience was not proof of failure. It was evidence of divine intelligence at work. God does not rush what is sacred. God does not expose what is still forming. And God does not release kingdom provision to a vessel that has not yet learned how to carry it without breaking. The chosen one is often separated before they are celebrated, not because they are unworthy of connection, but because premature access can contaminate what is meant to be protected. Your isolation was not punishment, it was insulation. It was God removing noise, influence, and dependency so that your spiritual awakening could mature without distortion. While you thought you were falling behind, unseen deposits were being made into your spiritual bank account. There were lessons you could only learn alone, strength you could only build in silence, discernment you could only develop by being disappointed. If God had released everything you asked for when you asked for it, it would have crushed you, distracted you, or altered your divine calling. Delay was not denial. Delay was mercy. Delay was strategy. Delay was alignment. You questioned yourself during that season. You wondered if you misunderstood your purpose. You asked why your path felt heavier. You asked why God seemed quiet. Those questions did not disqualify you. They revealed your humanity. Even prophets questioned the silence before the assignment spoke back. Divine calling often arrives disguised as stillness. Activation almost always follows surrender. Kingdom provision is governed by readiness, not desire. Desire asks for relief. Readiness carries responsibility. God prepares the chosen one internally before releasing anything externally. That is why your character was tested before your capacity expanded. That is why your patience was stretched before your provision appeared. That is why your identity was refined before your visibility increased. While you thought nothing was happening, everything was happening. Wisdom was being deposited. Discernment was being sharpened. Emotional maturity was being built. Spiritual authority was forming quietly beneath the surface. You were learning how to stand without applause, how to trust without evidence, how to obey without reassurance. These are not small things. These are the foundations that hold divine release when it finally manifests. The frustration you felt was valid. The confusion was real. The doubt came honestly, but shame was never meant to live there. You were not weak for feeling tired. You were not faithless for questioning timing. You were not wrong for wanting movement. God saw every tear. God counted every silent prayer. God honored every moment you chose integrity over impatience. The war you sensed during that season was real. When a light is being prepared to illuminate, resistance increases. When a divine calling matures, opposition intensifies. The pressure you endured was not random hardship. It was confirmation of assignment. Darkness does not waste energy on what carries no impact. Your light is necessary, and that is why it was challenged before it was released. This message from God is reminding you that you did not miss your moment. You were being shaped for it. The waiting season trained your spirit to hear clearly, move wisely, and stand firmly. It taught you restraint where others act impulsively. It taught you depth where others remain surface level. It taught you discernment where others chase noise. Now, something has shifted. You feel it in your inner world. The resentment toward waiting is dissolving. The bitterness toward delay is softening. You are beginning to see that what felt like loss was actually protection. What felt like stagnation was formation. What felt like silence was instruction without words. The chosen one was never behind. The chosen one was being aligned with divine timing that does not operate by human clocks. You are entering a season where movement will feel natural instead of forced, where doors open without exhaustion, where provision flows without panic. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means it becomes intentional. Let this truth anchor you now. You were called. You were prepared. You were positioned. This is not imagination. This is confirmation. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it. You always did. You were called. What a spiritual bank account really means. Chosen one, let us return to the beginning of your awakening and hear this truth clearly. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the stirrings in your spirit, the pull that has guided you here, or the deep knowing that you are different. You were called. The war you sensed along your path was real. Your light is necessary. And now it is time to understand the spiritual bank account that has always existed for you long before the world could measure it. The spiritual bank account is not merely wealth in the physical sense. It is far greater. It is a reservoir of wisdom, discernment, favor, relationships, opportunities, protection, and provision, all aligned with your purpose. This account accumulates in the unseen realm, while the world measures time differently. What is deposited may not always appear instantly as money or material gain, yet the foundation it creates is unshakable. Each experience, each lesson, each prayer, and each act of integrity has been contributing to this divine currency. Consider how many times you felt unnoticed, overlooked, or unacknowledged. Those moments were not voids. They were deposits in the spiritual bank account, preparing you for access to greater kingdom provision. You may have expected reward in a particular form, yet God's system operates differently from human expectation. Divine release often comes as access, alignment, and authority first, and the material manifestation follows in perfect timing. Money, opportunities, relationships, and influence arrive in alignment with the readiness of your spirit, not merely your desire. Worldly hustle often teaches impatience, comparison, and forced action. Society tells you to push harder, outwork others, and take shortcuts to gain. But the chosen one knows that shortcuts in the kingdom do not honor divine calling. God's system rewards obedience, integrity, endurance, and alignment. It honors those who walk faithfully through preparation and who carry their light responsibly. Your spiritual awakening has been designed to help you understand this distinction, to show you that rushing or forcing what is already yours can actually delay manifestation, because it misaligns the vessel with the provision. The spiritual bank account is cumulative. Every choice you made in integrity added to it. Every act of patience, every moment of forgiveness, every time you surrendered control instead of demanding outcomes, every sacrifice made in alignment with your calling, these were deposits. Every trial, every season of silence, every rejection or misunderstanding, these were deposits. What may have felt like absence or lack was actually a form of spiritual investment. You were learning stewardship while you were being positioned to receive. Discernment is one of the richest deposits. Knowing who to trust, when to speak, when to move, and when to wait. These are treasures the world cannot quantify. Relationships that align with your calling, doors that open at the right time, opportunities that match your skill and purpose. These are also part of the spiritual bank account. Protection arrives even before provision manifests. God shields what is sacred until the vessel is ready. The chosen one often experiences doors closing, relationships fading, or offers delayed, not as punishment, but as divine preservation. This is where the contrast with worldly expectation becomes clear. The world rewards speed and visibility. The kingdom rewards readiness and alignment. The world teaches accumulation through effort alone. The kingdom teaches accumulation through integrity and obedience. The world confuses hustle with success. The kingdom reveals that success without wisdom and discernment is fragile. The chosen one must learn to value deposits that cannot be immediately counted, because these are the deposits that carry longevity, stability, and divine acceleration. Your spiritual awakening helps you recognize that timing is not human, it is divine. Just because the blessing has not yet appeared in physical form does not mean it is absent. The bank of your soul has been accumulating what you cannot see. The unseen realm operates with a precision that surpasses worldly comprehension. Every silent prayer, every patient pause, every obedience without applause has been a credit to your account. Every moment you trusted God over circumstance increased your balance exponentially. Understand also that access to this spiritual bank account requires alignment. It is not automatic. It does not bypass the process of formation. You cannot claim what is yours prematurely without risk of misalignment or misuse. That is why patience has been necessary. That is why preparation has been critical. That is why the waiting season was actually a period of accumulation rather than deprivation. Your readiness determines the speed and fullness with which the divine release manifests. The chosen one is learning to move with this awareness. You are learning that every decision, every choice of thought, every moment of listening to your inner guidance contributes to how your provision flows. Integrity compounds. Faith compounds. Wisdom compounds. And when the divine release is finally visible, it arrives in a way that aligns perfectly with your capacity to steward it responsibly. That is kingdom provision in action. That is how the chosen one operates differently from those who pursue only the visible, immediate reward. Circle back to the beginning of this truth. You are not imagining the depth of what has been occurring in your life. You are not mistaken in sensing that you have been guided, protected, and prepared in ways unseen. This is a message from God. You were called. The war you endured was real. Your light is necessary. The spiritual bank account has been accumulating in perfect alignment with your purpose. Your access is imminent. Your readiness is recognized. If this touched your soul, if you feel the truth resonate deeply within, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. The divine release has already been authorized. Chosen one, return to the beginning of this moment and hear this without resistance. This is a message from God, not motivation, not imagination, not wishful thinking. What you are sensing now is confirmation. The divine release you have been waiting for is not approaching in the distance. It has already been authorized. The signature has already been written in the spiritual realm. What is unfolding now is manifestation catching up with permission. Spiritual authorization always comes before physical evidence. That is how divine order works. Heaven moves first, then earth responds. That is why your inner world shifted before your circumstances changed. That is why peace arrived before proof. That is why clarity came before answers. These were not emotional fluctuations. They were signs that the release had already taken place beyond what your eyes could see. The chosen one often mistakes stillness for delay, but stillness is often the sound of alignment locking into place. You felt something loosen recently. Old fears no longer had the same grip. Certain anxieties faded without effort. Conversations felt different. Relationships shifted. Some connections quietly fell away without drama. Others deepened without explanation. These are not random changes. These are indicators of divine release activating. When God authorizes a new season, He does not simply release provision. He releases stability. He does not open doors without grounding your spirit first. He does not elevate without anchoring your identity. That is why you are not frantic right now. That is why urgency has been replaced with certainty. That calm you feel is not passivity. It is readiness. The season shift you are in cannot be reversed. Not because of your strength, but because of divine decision. What God has authorized cannot be cancelled by fear, doubt, or opposition. The war you sensed before this shift was real. Resistance always intensifies right before release. The pressure you endured was not meant to stop you. It was meant to refine you, and you passed through it with your integrity intact. This message from God is here to relieve the weight you have been carrying unconsciously. You no longer need to brace yourself for loss. You no longer need to shrink to stay safe. You no longer need to question whether you are allowed to step forward. Fear of loss kept you guarded. Fear of success kept you hesitant. Fear of visibility kept you small. These fears were understandable, but they are no longer necessary. The divine calling on your life requires presence, not hiding. It requires embodiment, not observation. God does not release light to keep it covered. Your light is necessary, and that is why it was prepared carefully. Visibility will no longer feel dangerous. Success will no longer feel like a threat to your peace. Expansion will no longer feel like abandonment of who you were. Spiritual awakening reaches a point where confirmation replaces seeking. You are entering that phase now. You are no longer asking if you are called. You are realizing you have always been. You are no longer asking if God sees you. You are recognizing that He has been guiding you the entire time. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are responding to it. There is relief in this realization. The striving dissolves. The comparison loses power. The need to prove yourself fades. You begin to move differently, speak differently, choose differently. Not because you are forcing change, but because alignment makes old patterns uncomfortable. What once felt familiar now feels restrictive. That is not confusion. That is growth. The chosen one often fears visibility because they remember how exposed they felt before they were ready. But this season is different. You are not stepping forward unprotected. You are stepping forward authorized. God does not send you uncovered into rooms. He prepared. He does not elevate without equipping. He does not release without responsibility and support. This is why your nervous system is settling. This is why your mind is clearer. This is why your spirit feels steady even without external confirmation. You are standing on something solid now. You may not see the full structure yet, but you feel its foundation beneath your feet. Do not doubt this moment. Do not minimize what you are sensing. Do not talk yourself out of alignment. This is not imagination. This is activation. This is a message from God reminding you that the waiting season has done its work. The authorization has been granted. The flow has begun. You were called. The war was real. Your light is necessary, and you are ready now in ways you were not before. If this touched your soul, comment 111 because you know it. You were called. Why others could not go with you. Chosen one, return again to the beginning of this truth and receive it without resistance. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the separation you experienced. You are not exaggerating the losses. You are not misinterpreting the distance that formed between you and people you once loved. What fell away did not leave because you failed. It left because you were changing. And not everything is permitted to cross into the next season with you. This part of the journey hurt in ways that success never explains. You did not only lose places and routines, you lost familiarity. You lost shared language. You lost versions of yourself that only existed around certain people. That grief was real, but it was not meaningless. Before the spiritual bank account could be accessed, access had to be restricted. God protects kingdom provision by limiting who can touch it, influence it, or drain it. Misalignment is not always loud. Sometimes it shows up as subtle discomfort. Conversations that once flowed begin to feel heavy. Jokes stop landing. Energy feels off without explanation. This is not judgment. This is discernment awakening. Spiritual awakening changes what you can tolerate. It changes what feeds you. It changes who can walk beside you without slowing you down. Some people could not go with you because they were attached to who you used to be. Others depended on versions of you that no longer existed. Some felt threatened by your growth, even if they never admitted it. Jealousy does not always look like hatred. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like dismissal. Sometimes it looks like support that fades the moment you stop shrinking. This is not condemnation. It is clarity. Divine calling creates divergence. Paths split when assignments differ. God does not remove people to punish them or you. He removes them to prevent interference. Not everyone is meant to witness your elevation. Not everyone can celebrate what they secretly compare themselves against. And not everyone can handle the responsibility of proximity to your calling. Loneliness became familiar to you during this phase. Quiet weekends, fewer messages, long moments of introspection. At times it felt like abandonment. But loneliness was not the goal. Consecration was. God was teaching you how to stand without leaning, how to hear without echo, how to trust without consensus. These are not small lessons. They are necessary for those entrusted with kingdom provision. The The chosen one must learn to be whole alone before they can be supported in abundance. Otherwise, support becomes dependence, and dependence becomes vulnerability. God did not isolate you to harm you. He isolated you to strengthen you, to show you that your source is divine, not human, that your worth is intrinsic, not affirmed by presence. Forgiveness is part of this maturation, but forgiveness does not require reconnection. You can release bitterness without reopening doors. You can bless from a distance. You can appreciate what was without returning to what drained you. Forgiveness clears your spirit. Boundaries protect your future. Both are acts of obedience. This message from God is not asking you to harden your heart. It is asking you to honor your growth. Some environments could not sustain the version of you that emerged. Some relationships were assigned to a season, not a lifetime. That does not invalidate their role. It completes it. Grief is transforming into gratitude now, not because the pain was small, but because the purpose is becoming visible. You can see how certain attachments would have limited your capacity, how certain voices would have diluted your clarity, how certain expectations would have conflicted with your divine calling. What left made room. What ended created space. The war you felt during separation was real. Spiritual shifts create resistance internally and externally, but the same fire that burned connections refined your discernment. You are no longer confused about what alignment feels like. You no longer force compatibility. You no longer betray yourself to maintain access. Your light is necessary, and light requires clear pathways. God will not allow your calling to be negotiated by misalignment. He will not allow your spiritual bank account to be accessed by those who do not respect its purpose. Protection sometimes looks like removal. Stand in peace with what could not follow you. You are not alone. You are aligned. This was not loss. This was preparation. This is confirmation. You were called. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. Stewardship. Keeping the account open. Chosen one. Come back again to the beginning and hear this with calm authority. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the responsibility you feel rising within you. You are not overthinking the weight of what is unfolding. What you are sensing now is stewardship activating. Not pressure, not fear, not perfectionism. Stewardship. And there is a difference. God does not release kingdom provision without also teaching the chosen one how to keep the account open. Stewardship is not about never making mistakes. It is about wisdom, awareness, and alignment. It is about learning how to move with what has been entrusted to you without abusing it, hiding it, or fearing it. The fact that you care about doing this well is already evidence that you are ready. Obedience is not about rigid rules. It is about sensitivity. It is about responding when guidance comes quietly, instead of waiting for dramatic signs. Humility is not about shrinking yourself. It is about staying teachable even as your influence grows. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about honoring progress without demanding arrival. These qualities keep the flow open because they keep your spirit aligned. The chosen one sometimes fears stewardship because they confuse it with pressure. But God is not asking you to perform. He is asking you to listen, to move calmly, to choose intentionally, to trust incremental guidance instead of rushing toward outcomes. Divine calling unfolds in steps, not leaps. Each step expands your capacity. Each expansion allows more kingdom provision to move through you safely. Misuse can slow momentum, but it never cancels calling. Fear-based decisions can create pauses, but they do not revoke authorization. Ego can distort direction, but it cannot erase assignment. God is patient with growth. What matters is correction, not perfection. Alignment restores flow faster than self-punishment ever could. This is why anxiety is not required in this season. Urgency is not wisdom. Panic is not preparation. You do not need to grasp, chase, or force doors. What is meant for you will respond to your alignment. Stewardship teaches you how to recognize when to move and when to wait without doubting your worth in either moment. Spiritual awakening matures when you stop demanding constant confirmation and start trusting consistent guidance. You are learning how to hear God in subtle nudges, not just loud interventions. You are learning how to honor your nervous system, your energy, and your values as part of your obedience. This is advanced alignment. This is not basic faith. This is lived wisdom. God increases kingdom provision as capacity increases. Capacity is built through consistency, not intensity. Through daily integrity, not dramatic declarations. Through choosing what aligns, even when no one is watching. This is why your life is becoming quieter but stronger, less reactive, more grounded. That is stewardship working internally before it becomes visible externally. The war you fought earlier taught you discernment. The waiting taught you patience. The separation taught you boundaries. Now stewardship teaches you sustainability. God is not interested in a moment. He is invested in longevity. What is being released now is meant to last. Your light is necessary, but it must be carried wisely. Light without grounding burns out. Power without humility fractures. Provision without stewardship overwhelms. God is not testing you. He is partnering with you, teaching you how to walk with what you prayed for. This message from God is reminding you that you are allowed to move forward calmly. You are allowed to learn as you go. You are allowed to grow without fear of disqualification. The account stays open through alignment, not anxiety, through trust, not tension. Stand in this truth now. You were called. The war was real. Your light is necessary, and you are capable of stewarding what is unfolding. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. Conclusion: the wait is officially over. Chosen one, return to the very beginning of this truth and breathe it into your spirit fully. This is a message from God. You are not imagining what you have lived through. You are not mistaking the stirring you feel right now. You were called. You were never forgotten. You were never denied. You were never late. The divine timing of your life has been perfect, even when it felt uncertain. The wait you endured, the seasons of quiet, the moments of doubt, they were never obstacles. They were preparation, consecration, and alignment for the moment you now stand in. Feel this. Your spiritual awakening has reached a new level. The shifts you sensed deep within your soul were not random. The clarity, the quiet strength, the unshakable knowing, all of it is evidence that the divine release has been activated. The spiritual bank account that was always yours is now accessible. The unseen deposits, the prayers, the alignment, the preparation, all of it has converged, and you are standing at the threshold of manifestation. You are ready to receive what was written in the heavens long before your footsteps touched the path. Let your mind settle. Let your nervous system release the tension it has carried for years. You do not need to rush. You do not need to force proof. You do not need to push or grasp. What is yours will respond to alignment. The urgency you once felt is gone, because certainty has arrived. Peace is now the guide, not panic. Confidence is now the driver, not doubt. You can trust yourself because you were equipped, and you can trust the process because it is divine. The war you felt along the way was real. Darkness resisted the light assigned to you. Fear tried to distract you. Delay tested your faith. And yet, here you are. The chosen one who endured it all is now standing in a place of readiness. Your light is necessary. The world cannot continue without the radiance that only you can shine. You have been prepared for this moment by trials, by silence, and by unseen guidance. Every struggle, every isolation, every moment of questioning was a part of the divine design to ready you for release. You are not alone. Even in the solitude you once feared, you were accompanied by God's constant presence. The spiritual awakening you are experiencing now is your soul recognizing that guidance has never left you. That call you felt before you even understood it was real. That pull in your chest, the quiet knowing in your spirit, the longing for more, it was the voice of divine calling, inviting you to remember who you truly are. And you answered. This is your time to stand fully in alignment. Stand in gratitude for what has passed. Stand in faith for what is coming. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You no longer need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You no longer need to fear exposure or visibility. Your light is necessary, and it will not be dimmed. Kingdom provision is moving toward you because your capacity has expanded. Your obedience, your patience, your humility, and your endurance have opened the pathway for divine release. Every relationship, every environment, every circumstance that no longer fits has been cleared so you can move freely. You were never abandoned. You were protected. You were never hindered. You were positioned. You were never forgotten. You were prepared. Your spiritual bank account is open. Your assignments are activated. Your path is illuminated. What was promised in the spirit now begins to show in the natural. The chosen one does not act out of panic. You act out of alignment. You do not chase what is already authorized. You move with clarity, wisdom, and discernment. You do not force provision. You receive it because God has released it. The doors open not when you push, but when you walk steadily in obedience. Your light commands attention because it has been refined in the fires of preparation. Your presence inspires faith because it carries divine authorization. Circle back to the beginning of this message and let it settle in your spirit. This is a message from God. You are not imagining it. You were called. The war you felt was real. Your light is necessary. And today, the waiting is officially over. You are no longer in preparation. You are in activation. You are no longer anticipating the flow. You are experiencing it. You are no longer hoping for proof. You are walking in confirmation. Let your spirit feel the certainty that comes from divine timing. Let your heart rest in the truth that the release has already been granted. Let your mind accept the peace that surpasses understanding. Let your actions reflect confidence without urgency. Your path has been cleared. Your provision has been authorized. Your calling has been activated. You are fully equipped to carry this light and the abundance that accompanies it. If this touched your soul, if your heart resonates with the certainty and the fire of what you have heard, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. You are the chosen one. You are the light. The war was real. Your spiritual awakening has reached this new level. Your divine release is here, and nothing can stop what God has already set in motion.